Hey, this is Manny Moonraker here, and let's get this show started, because we gotta talk about something that happened way down under. Cue the music. Hey, this is episode number 114, and again, I welcome you to UFO Buster Radio. And just a bit of news for you guys who do not follow me on social media, because I've asked you to do it like 1 trillion times now. That is that UFO Buster Radio is now on iHeart Radio. Isn't that just fantastic? And you know what? I have to thank Spotify for that, because if it wasn't for Spotify sticking their gigantic music foot into the podcast realm, UFO Buster Radio will probably not end up on iHeart, because we were declined about a year ago because they said we have too much background music. Who the hell says that there's too much background music? Some of you have complained about that as well. I'm not going to lie. It's true. I'll get messages from time to time. Your intro's too long. Your outro's too long. The music in the background's too loud. God, I feel like a teenager somewhere. My parents are trying to whip me to death. But listen, that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is this. If you're not following me on social media, it's probably why you didn't know that we're on iHeart right now. You know, Apple TV, you know, other places too, you know, Spotify. So you don't have to download an app anymore. I mean, listen, and it's more than just me. It's like there's podcasts everywhere now. And, you know, everyone else is making all the dough on it. But, hey, what the hell? At least Manny Moonraker gets out there, right? He gets around. He's like a rolling stone of sorts in the podcast world dedicated to ufology. But if you haven't, on Twitter, at UFO Buster Radio, on Instagram, at Manny Moonraker, Facebook pages, UFO Buster Radio, at Manny Moonraker, and on Google Plus, at Manny Moonraker. So take your pick, find one of them. Eventually, you will get a message from me. And don't be afraid to reply, people. It's called social media for a reason. Reply. Say something. And don't forget about the YouTubes either, under UFO Buster. There's no radio on there because YouTube's funky, finicky, and special. Now, I did announce in the last episode that I was going to put up a video letting you guys, the listeners, select which UBR mini documentary was next. And yeah, you guys are used to this already. I failed to do that. Could not get my technology going and started to the point where I can just go ahead and do it. But it will be there this week, and you get to make the call. You choose which UBR mini doc will be next. Now, it should be either in the form of a survey on whatever platform you find it at. Unfortunately, not all platforms allow you to put up a video and a survey, such as aka Twitter. So either way, if for some reason you're following me on a social media platform that does not let you do surveys or answer stuff, you know, just do the old @ symbol, put whatever name of the account is, and shoot it off. Your vote will, of course, be counted because, you know, everyone should have part of this conversation. And, you know, why not? Now, the other thing on the plate here is that it's coming to the fall. And in the fall, we going to have the second annual Rubber Dickies. And for those of you who are new, last year we ran a kind of like an award thing, kind of like the Oscars, except we call it the Rubber Dickies. So this year, there will be again 2 contributors to social media. And those 2 individuals will be the 2018 Rubber Dickers top contributors. That's a category. Not that they're rubber dickers, but I mean, they might be in other circles, just not for UFO Buster Radio. And then again, we are going to take the top names in news for this year, and you guys get to select which one of those is going to win the 2018 Rubber Dicker of the Year award, courtesy of the UFO Buster Radio Rubber Dickies. And it's going to be fun. If you guys were around last year, listening And on social media, you saw that one of the winners of that was Ronnie Dawson. And we sent him a nice little award for that. I mean, he's probably on his mantle somewhere in Ranger, Texas. He probably walks by it every day and spit shines it a little bit. And it's probably like that glow in his eye, that little gleam, knowing that UBR appreciates him. But UBR appreciates all of you. You just got to be in it to win it. Like I said, it's called social media for a reason. Interact. Be active in it. It's ufology. Without you, it's going to die. A slow and miserable, horrible death. Now, before we get into today's UBR news report situation, I just want to say one thing. I've made no podcasts regarding the 12-mile-long lake on Mars that allegedly has been found. There's a reason for that. The truth is that, hey, good job, NASA, and everyone else that contributed to that piece of news. Thank you for telling us what many people already knew must have been the case. But I know they're scientists. They need to take that scientific method. They need to take that approach and slowly, methodically get all their ducks in a row, flip them over, check their sex, pluck a couple of feathers, test it, put it on the microscope, make sure that these are real ducks and not rubber ducks. And then, after they have meeting after meeting after meeting and run every single type of scenario, then they can make an announcement that possibly a duck is what they found. The reason I really haven't done anything about this or even talked about it on here is because, according to Corey Good, he swam in that underground lake probably a few times during the time that he was up there fighting aliens. So, dear NASA, if you want to know how to circumvent that lake and all the other ones on Mars, Corey Good is your guy. Corey Good can take you up there, take you for a little tour in his personal TR-3B, and let you know what kind of crazy stuff he's seen in the lake on Mars. And by the way, I don't really know if Corey's ever said that. I'm sure he has somewhere that he went through some lake, was doing a little dog paddle, taking out some aliens with one hand and, smoking a cigar with the other, like a super trooper. But anyway, let's get into the story. Enough of Corey Good. Let's get into the story because it has to do with another legacy incident that happened back in 1978, October 21st to be exact. And this happened in Tasmania, down under. And it was a flight. It was a flight that apparently took people by surprise for a bit. But it was a 20-year-old by the name of Valentich. And he rented a single-engine plane out of Victoria's Moorabbin Airport. And apparently he planned to go to Tasmania's King Island and catch some seafood. I mean, everybody else takes a boat, but this guy decided he was going to fly a plane in order to catch some seafood. I mean, maybe that's the thing down there. I don't know. Maybe you have to catch a boat because everybody that catches a plane ends up like him, abducted somewhere on some foreign planet. What's interesting about this is that, again, we have an incident that's pretty well documented because it wasn't just him. Apparently, the story is that Valentich, at the time of the incident, was also talking to a air traffic controller out of Victoria's Moorabbin Airport. And listen, this is not a flight that turned out well for him because Frederick Valentich is missing in action, or is it missing in flight, MIF. So he did have a conversation at the time that this incident occurred, and the air traffic controller's name was Steve Robey. And it was about 7 p.m. that night on October 21st, 1978, when he actually was radioing back to the air traffic controller to find out if there was any traffic in the area. One of the things he said was that it is hovering and it is not an aircraft. So this is pretty exciting for Frederick and as well as Robey, because Robey, the air traffic controller, pretty much confirmed for him that on his radar, he saw zero traffic in the area. Now, he did ask him to identify the air traffic that he was seeing. What was this type of aircraft that was around him? And here's a quote from that recording. "I cannot affirm. It is for bright, it seems to me, like landing lights. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above me. According to Valentich, this thing was actually following him and toying with him." It was even quoted in the script with the conversation with the air traffic controller that Valentich said, "It seems to me that he's playing some sort of game." Valentich went on to say, "He's flying over me 2 to 3 times at a time at speeds I could not identify." And the conversation continued, but Valentich described it as a long metallic object with a green light. At one point, the aircraft vanishes before suddenly reappearing on the other side of his airplane. At this point, when this madness occurred, Valentich finally said, "It is hovering, it is not an aircraft." Followed at that point, there was 17 seconds of silence, and then the transmission ended. Now, with every good UFO story, there's also some conspiracy, some drama, and all this craziness. Of course, there was a search party sent out for Frederick Valentich's aircraft. It was never found. The guy's been missing since 1978. The UFO incident remains unresolved, unexplained. Unfortunately for him, apparently he also had an interest in UFOs. But there were also some other inaccuracies or discrepancies in basically what was going on. One was that his father, apparently, he told him that he was heading out to catch some crayfish, but that later he told the flight officials that he was picking up some friends. And to add insult to injury, Valentich never let air traffic controller know, or the Kings Island airport, that he intended to land. Now, maybe he was catching fish from the airplane. Throw out a line while he's flying, go a little low, grab a couple of guppies, take him back. You don't gotta land for that, right? I mean, come on, give the guy a break, he's dead. The other disturbing coincidence is the fact that they discovered that he was not just a enthusiast, as some people, some of you like to call yourselves enthusiasts, a UFO enthusiast. I don't know what the fuck that is. But apparently, Frederick Valentich was more than an enthusiast. He was obsessed. He was obsessed with UFOs. And he watched a lot of movies and collected a lot of articles. He probably had a bedroom, wall-to-wall articles on unexplained UFO incidents. I don't know. But these are the kind of things that make people think that he was whacked out. And then the other conspiracy is that he did it on purpose. He basically committed suicide, or another conspiracy was that he faked his own death. And he's out there somewhere, probably in Australia, hanging out with some kangaroos, having a good old time and boxing them up. What's fascinating here is that a week after he vanished, his father, Guido, he told reporters that he was 100% sure that Frederick Valentich was alive. And he insisted that Frederick was taken by UFOs. And there's a quote in here from Guido that says, "All I am is worried about this because he could have been released in a different area, very far away from where he was taken." So the dad's concerned at this point, but even the dad's convinced that he got abducted. There's a lot of different factors here. I mean, as a young guy, 20 years old, he rented an airplane. He's got all this stuff in his background, his history. He kind of told different stories to different people. What really hurts is that he told a different story to the officials at the airport. So it's like he was hiding his flight path. And that is more of the conspiracies. What was Frederick Valentich up to, and was this really an abduction situation? Either way, his airplane was gone. So is Frederick. If you look at the picture that was used for this episode, this is actually a memorial that was actually posted at the airport to commemorate his disappearance. So if you look at the pictures used for this episode, you can see the plaque that's at the airport dedicated to him. As I often say many times, there's a lot of these stories, there's just no way you can make these up. As a matter of fact, if you did, you could probably work for Hollywood somewhere and make some great sci-fi movies. But this was not a character. This was not an actor. Like nobody put an actor into an airplane and just sent them off somewhere on a movie with special effects. This guy actually disappeared. His report was that of an unidentified flying object, and he reported some of the stuff that we normally hear. Extremely fast, jumping, almost like warping from one place to another, and then he's gone. You can't write this stuff, folks. And this is the first time I've heard of this situation, and I'm sure that if you took an account worldwide of all the UFO reports over the last 50 years, they may be all very similar in nature, because we kind of heard a lot of this from the Tic Tac UFO videos, right? To the Stars Academy gave us a little report about what was discussed, what was seen, kind of broke it down to everyone. And again, it's all similar. We're seeing the same things. So either we've been plagued by the same technology that our cavemen back in history put together some crazy UFOs and they're still using them now, and we rubber dickers cannot figure this out. Neanderthal man is the one in the UFOs. Keep that in mind. Or this is really a situation where we are being monitored, because there's no way that there is one country on this planet that has been able to hide this for so long. How can that be? This is the end of number 114. I'll be back again. If you're on iHeart, Spotify, or anywhere else, give me a like, give me a share. But until then, I'll catch you later. And don't forget to look into the description of this particular episode, not just for the article that this was about, but for everything else that we put out there for your guys' reading pleasure. Ciao.